to celebrate. And we hope you join us at Net to celebrate the lives and times of Kofi Anan. Of course, you know Kofi Anan departed a couple of weeks ago, and today his mortal remains arrives in Ghana, where the nation would put his eternal remains to rest. So I guess you will join us today as we pay some form of tribute to the departed Secretary General of the United Nations. Of course, that doesn't take the core of our program away. We do the discussions on dialogue as we engage personalities, politicians, technicians, and men of worth on the orange sofa where we do the discussions. This morning is no different, and we'll be having on the orange seat George Padmore, a member of the communications team of the New Patriotic Party, Medina constituency. So, without wasting any more of your precious time, let's delve into the front pages of the newspapers and hear what they say. The New Crusading Guide on its front page says, fresh trouble for Kofi Agyapong. Former state attorney smashes Asin Central MP with 25 million Ghana cedi suit. Of course, a lawsuit against the Honorable Member of Parliament. Tension in Odotobri NPP. MP Chairman Secretary restricting DCE's removal. You can see no plays JS secret. Yes. This me. So we're going to Kojo. This is the 2.2 billion from cocoa used to import food in 2016. President says so. New Patriotic Party losing USD is electric, says so. At the edge of the critical secure win over Super Eagles beat Seychelles, Egypt, Niger, Mrs. Two parties breaks. So that is it. Mercenaries. BC questions loyalty of Deputy General Secretary. Massive growth in agriculture. Some policies yield 8.3% growth. That's some refreshing news, because a couple of years ago, agri was running in the negatives. This statement we have with goodies. From China with goodies. And of course, we know the Sinotron. Other goodies that came along with it. We may be engaging our panelists in the discussion of that. And as I said earlier, this morning and possibly for the rest of the week, we will be celebrating the life and times of Ghana's celebrated diplomat, Kofi Anan. And the front page of the Ghanaian Times says Kofi Anan's remains arrives today. President lauds government policy for agri sector growth in 2017. On the front page, we can see a smiling president by the headline. KIA Terminal 3 to commence full operation September 15th. So in 5 days, the Kotoka International Airport, the newly built Terminal 3, will be open to the public. What does the back page of the Ghanaian Times say? AFCON 2019, Ghana suffers shock loss to Kenya as Apia hints return of Jan and Ayew brothers. It's not all that bad news for Ghana football. Black Starlets, the under-17 team, also beat their Togolese counterpart by 2-1 in the first leg of the African under-17 qualifiers that was played in Lomé, Togo over the weekend. The Daily Guide says, Auditor General snubs Nana over 640 million Ghana cedis contract audit. As you can see on the front page, Auditor General snubs Nana over 640 million Ghana cedi contract audit. Then we have President Hill's planting for food and jobs. GRA in bed with tax defaulters. Nunu Mensah punches Mahama. Right, so these are the front page headlines for the Daily Guide. And finally, the Daily Graphic is our final port of call. And Agric gets boost. Ghana, 500 million Ghana cedis as loan insurance to farmers. So for those of us who are contemplating going into farming or some form of agriculture, there is a seeming 500 million Ghana cedis loan insurance somewhere. If you want to find out the details, grab a copy of the Daily Graphic, turn to page 3 and find the details for yourselves. Court finds businessman for unlicensed insurance firm operation. Right. And Kofi Anan's body arrives today. That's another reminder on the front page of the Daily Graphic, which says Kofi Anan's body arrives today. And like I said, today and the rest of the week, we will be eulogizing, celebrating the life and times of the departed diplomat extraordinaire of Ghanaian heritage, Kofi Anan. We'll be taking a quick short break. When I come back, I'll be introducing my guests, and of course, we'll get into matters critical. We'll be right back. Panelists, in some of the topical stories for the morning, and this morning I have Padmore Agyapong as my guest, and we'll be talking about a few issues. Critical amongst them is the president lauding of the Planting for Food and Jobs program, which has seen the agric sector go up by 8.3 percentage points. Of course, the critical matter for today is the arrival of the mortal remains of celebrated Ghanaian diplomat who passed away a couple of weeks ago, Kofi Anan. So welcome to the studios, Padmore.
Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We appreciate your timeliness. You're right on point. Thank you.
Service to the nation.
I can imagine that. Of course, this morning there seems to, I don't know whether to call Kofi Anan's arrival, the mortal remains and the interment later on in the week as a sad event. Of course, it's a sad event, but we need to celebrate it as Ghanaians, don't we?
We do, and it's like when his death was announced, I felt more like the man has lived what he needed to do.
Right.
And I believe that he's made so much impact that it is sorrowful to the family, but from the outside, we should rather be grateful for the life that God bless us with in his personality and what he was able to achieve throughout his life.
Right.
And then I think in Ghana, in some circles, we would rather have called it celebration of life, because there is so much to celebrate about his death, though taking away the part that he's departing from us. But if you want to look at what he has been able to do and what humanity will remember him for, you will sit back and say, this man has really lived a life.
On that note, I don't think a lot of people really know the backdrop of his career. Most people will know Kofi Anan when he became the Secretary General of the United Nations. But maybe let us rewind the clock back and find out who the man was. And according to the Daily Graphic, on page 16, there's a little tribute to him. And it says, Kofi Anan joined the UN system in 1962 as an administrative and budget officer with the World Health Organization in Geneva. He later served with the Economic Commission for Africa in Addis Ababa, the United Nations Emergency Force 2 in Ismailia, the United Nations High Commission for Refugees in Geneva, and various senior posts in New York, dealing with human resource, budget, finance, staff security. And before becoming UN Secretary General, he was Under Secretary General for Peacekeeping and facilitated the repatriation from Iraq of more than 900 international staff and other non-Iraqi nationals, and also served as Special Representative of the Secretary General to the former Yugoslavia and Special Envoy to NATO. One of his main priorities during the period was a comprehensive program of reforms that sought to revitalize the UN and make the international system more effective. He was a constant advocate for human rights, the rule of law, the Millennium Development Goals, and Africa, and sought to bring the organization closer to the global public by forging ties with civil society, the private sector, and other partners. I didn't know he was a budget officer for the UN. All we saw was a glorified personality walking the corridors of power for the United Nations. But he looks like he started from scratch, you know, and as an administrative officer. That is a bit pleasing for career diplomats who have come a long way and managed to reach the top.
And it's quite understandable because throughout the 60s when he joined, when you are in the system, you know, the UN system is so big. So people might not even hear of who this person is or what he's doing.
Right.
And I think he came more on the limelight when he was the Undersecretary for the Peacekeeping and he was handling the securities part of the UN system. And more importantly, when the genocide in Rwanda came up, that was when we started hearing more of a personality called Kofi Anan from Ghana, who was really at the forefront trying to make sure security prevails in Rwanda. But like you said, we all start from humble beginnings. And I'm sure he did not also just enter the UN system after school, because after schooling here in Ghana and all those, possibly there could be one or two things he might have started or had some input into. This tells us that Ghana has got quality. To go through such a system and rise throughout to become its chief executive, more so if I can put it like that, it tells you that the man really worked his way. Like I said, the system is so big, so huge that if you are able to get through to the top, then there is something key in you. There is something global leaders have also seen in you that they believe if they give you the opportunity to lead the system, the UN system, you can deliver. Right. So Kofi Annan has proven himself so much so well. Let's see even how he handled his seat when he became the General Secretary.
Right.
There were so many criticisms on his appointment. When Boutros left, a lot of people felt Africa did not deserve a second term, because looking at the rotational kind of thing they do, after 2 terms, you are off. So Boutros has served 1 term, he did not go for a second term.
You mean Dr. Boutros Ghali?
Exactly.
The Egyptian.
Yeah. And people felt that even if an African was going to be given the opportunity, it's going to be only 1 term. Kofi Annan went there with all of us thinking he was going to spend 1 term. But when his first term ended, his second term was unanimous in the UN system. Everybody said that, yes, we give this person a second term. It tells you what he did. And I've always said, in life, if you prioritize humanity, if your agenda is to make the world a better place, if your goal is to ensure that poverty is reduced, is to ensure that the environment is protected, people are living harmoniously in their society, I am telling you, you can really achieve far more better than putting it as your agenda to enrich yourself, to just make name for yourself.
Right, fantastic. Of course, we are trying to get in touch with one of the ministers for either foreign affairs or information. So they give us some details, some extra details about the arrival of the mortal remains and what happens thereafter. But it will be interesting to look at the man maybe with our Ghanaian lenses. Most people will ask, this man worked at the UN and never spoke the kind of slangs. You know what I mean? He never said those words. He maintained his native Ghanaian, the English tonation. It looks like it's a very hard thing to do in this time.
You see, in life, those who make life simple
Right.
actually live long and they go far. Why would you have to stress yourself and put too much stress on your vocal cavity, trying to adjust to some kind of a slang or something that you are not familiar with? Like you said, all these years he's lived within Europe, in the US, but you never hear any change in Kofi Anan's pronunciation of R as is being distinct with the Americans.
Right.
He speaks like a normal Ghanaian.
Right.
And this is where it becomes important in communication. It is not the semantics or the kind of raising of those things that is trying to win people to understand what you want to say, but it's in the simplicity and the conciseness of what you want to communicate.
Right.
Go straight to the point, speak in a language if the person can understand. English is English. If you turn your mouth to the left or to the right, it is the words that are coming out. That's of utmost importance. And Kofi Annan kept to that, and I will always be proud of him for that.
Right. Not to truncate you, but we have on the phone lines Deputy Minister of Information, Pius Hadije. Good morning, Honorable.
Yeah, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning and welcome to the studio. This is the dialogue, and this morning we are looking at some matters. Critical among them is the arrival of the mortal remains of celebrated Ghanaian diplomat Kofi Anan today. What are we to expect prior to the mortal remains and post mortal remains arrives?
Well, thank you very much. A very good morning to you and to our cherished listeners. It is true, as you may recall, a couple of weeks ago, Ghana had one of our presidents, Busumuru Kofi Anan. His Excellency the President then directed a 1-week official mourning in his honor, within which time flags flew at half-mast.
Right.
We have to show appreciation to the world for the concern, the love, the support that they have shown to His Excellency the President, who undoubtedly is the chief mourner, the family, the wife and children of Mr. Kofi Annan, the government and the people of Ghana. We are grateful to the world for the support and the solidarity that they have shown in our time of grief. It is true. Today, the mortal remains of Mr. Kofi Annan shall arrive in Ghana at about 5 o'clock in the forenoon.
Right.
His Excellency the President will lead a delegation to receive the mortal remains. This delegation will include ministers of state, members of parliament, chiefs, members of the diplomatic community, and so on. The mortal remains will be accompanied by Mrs. Kofi Annan and the children, Kujo, Amma, and the other one, and some officials of the United Nations. After that event, tomorrow, the International Conference Center will be open to the public for filing past and the show of last respect, paying of last respect. The general public is encouraged to patronize this opportunity and to celebrate our own and to show love and to pay the last respect.
Right.
On Wednesday, we will continue to file past the mortal remains of our departed colleague and to show or pay our last respects. Members of the diplomatic community, chiefs, members of parliament, ministers of state, Chief Justice, the Speaker of Parliament, these category of people will also have the opportunity, former presidents, they will also have the opportunity to file past and to also pay their last respects.
Right.
On Thursday, we shall have a funeral service at the auditorium of the Accra International Conference Center 9 o'clock in the morning. We expect that because this is a Ghanaian funeral, we are claiming it, we are owning it. We encourage our people to throne the Accra International Conference Center as early as 6 o'clock, 6:30.
Right.
Whilst we await the arrival of the other dignitaries. It is looking like we may get overwhelmed with a long litany of presidents, a lot of presidents, both in the West African region, the West African sub-region, the Africa region, and the world at large.
Right.
Have expressed a keen interest in coming to this funeral. So we should be in readiness as a people and await their arrival.
Right.
The United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, will also be here in Ghana for the funeral.
Right.
After the funeral service, there will be a private burial at the military cemetery. This state funeral that the state has, or is according to Mr. Kofi Anan, comes with full military honors, a 17-gun salute. And so there will be a private burial after the service at the military cemetery around 12 o'clock thereabout.
Right.
So yes, by way of program, this is what has been lined up for the funeral and interment services or programs of the late departed colleague.
Right. Honorable, just before I allow you to go, as you have a packed day today, two issues. Is Ghana or Accra ready for the foreign dignitaries? That includes the UN Secretary General, Guterres, and other possibly leaders of governments, heads of states, and other presidents. Is the capital ready to host them?
Yes, the capital is very much ready. Let us also, however, be advised that Mr. Kofi Anan has had some wishes about the pomp and pageantry around his funeral. He wants it to be toned down a little.
Right.
That notwithstanding, we as a state will do our part to give our departed hero a befitting burial. But we have to find a fine blend between an ordinary Ghanaian funeral and the departing wishes of Mr. Kofi Anan. And so that must also be noted.
Right.
We expect the full cooperation and the understanding of the people of Ghana, especially between Wednesday and Thursday, when dignitaries will arrive in the country, and we may have to take some traffic measures to allow for an unimpeded flow of traffic, especially from around the airport area. But the police are on top of this, and at the right time, they shall put out announcements as to which portions of roads are going to have to be blocked, and so on and so forth. We expect that the people of our country will understand and cooperate with us to ensure a successful funeral service.
Right.
So yes, the country is very much ready for the arrival.
Right. Thank you very much. And possibly we may come back to you and on another topic when we get there. That's planting for food and jobs. And the president has been blowing the horns of the agri sector for achieving 8.3% growth. But we are not there yet for our morning discussion. When we get there, we may call you to expand on the achievements of the agri sector.
I will be most happy to speak to you on the planting for food. It's a critical intervention that this government, the Nana Akufo-Addo-led NPP government, has brought. All the policies that this government has brought, novel policies, are yielding results.
Right.
The free SHS is here. We can also take time and talk about that. We are doing the one district, one factory. On his recent visits to China, we are seeing the results already. Two major giant companies have decided that sequel to the president's visit, they are coming to set out their West African headquarters here in Ghana. This means jobs for our people and monies in their pockets. The free SHS that His Excellency has rolled out, what it means is that for parents of over 490,000 students. The ritual of a 2,500 admission fee, old currency, 25 million. That ritual has been curtailed. Effectively, the president has, as at this moment, put 2,500 cities, old cities, 25 million old cities in the pocket of the over 490 Ghanaian students. That's what it means. Because without the free SHS, they would have had to go and find some 25 million to pay their school fees.
Honorable, we'll come to
at
that.
The right time.
We'll come to that and we'll give you the platform where you can talk a lot. But for now, it's just reserved for Kofi Anan for the next few minutes. We'll hit back at you. Thank you very much. So that was the Deputy Minister of Information, Pius Hajide, sharing the program outline for the next couple of days in respect of the returns of the mortal remains of celebrated Ghanaian diplomat Kofi Anan. And of course, from now till Thursday, when his remains are interred, the Deputy Minister outlined some of the events that, of course, the Ghanaian public is expected to join in. Of course, the conference center, there will be a public funeral there. The president will be there and all those. I guess it will be made public pretty soon. Especially, I think there's a press conference at 12 p.m. this afternoon where a lot of the details will be made public. Right. So, George, sorry, before I cut you in, you were eulogizing Kofi Anan.
For his simplicity and what he stood for. But you see, the coming of his remains is where I would want to also question government a little bit.
Okay.
Once upon a time in the 90s, there was a U.S. president who was visiting Ghana. And as part of preparation for his visit, and because of some routes he was going to take, a whole area in Accra was more or less barricaded to prevent the person from seeing that side of Accra. I'm talking about the Nima side on the Kanda Highway.
You were talking about the Bill Clinton
visit. This funeral is going to present Ghana the opportunity to receive a lot of visitors. Globally, head of states will attend, foreign ministers will attend, other diplomats will attend. Is Ghana ready, hospitality-wise? Do we have all the hotels to accommodate all this? Have we built up a lot of some tourist engagement when these guys are even off the funeral grounds, how they can be engaged? Because when you take advantage of all of these, it adds money into your economy. Force people when they come to spend.
Right.
Don't just look at the funeral side of it, but what can we take advantage of? It is very important. And it's also going to be a good opportunity for us, especially in Accra, to now look at how we are addressing the Keep Accra Clean campaign.
Right.
We don't want to leave a mark for all these people when they come, and then we realize that we came for Kofi Anan's funeral, and what we saw in Ghana is not something to be proud of. Let us give them the Ghana experience.
Right.
Let us make sure that when all these people are coming, they are not leaving, but their credit cards are working, their bills they brought are also being left behind.
Right. So this is where we bring the curtains down on the discussion on Kofi Annan. Of course, the personality and spirit of Kofi Annan will never die. All we are trying to say is that today we will see the arrival of his mortal remains, and of course, the chief monarch, the president himself, will be at the Kotoka International Airport at the Jubilee Lounge to welcome the mortal remains. And we continue to celebrate the life of this celebrated Ghanaian. As we continue, we'll be going to another important topic for the day. But just before that, today man's capsule is asking me to remind you that if you have sexual weaknesses, never despair. For vitality and vigor and to enhance urine flow, you can always go for today's man's capsules. Today, capsules is also for the treatment of bleeding piles and hemorrhage. It stops blood from flowing and cures piles totally. Today's laxative capsules is also for the effective relief of constipation, piles, waist pains, and the removal of excess phlegms. Today's Ladies Care and Capsules is also for candidacies, and it helps get rid of menstrual disorders and keeps the place tight and removes blood waste in the uterine wall after menstruation. For bulk purchases of all these products I've mentioned, go to Dependable Herbal Home. It's at Medina New Road Greenhouse. It's also at Kaswa opposite Datus International School. Repast Ventures, you can also find it at Kings Walk Herbal at Okaishin, Baywatch Herbal at Medina Old Road opposite Doku Clinic. To contact them is easy. The number is 027-2220-222, and so it's available in all pharmaceutical shops, chemical shops, and herbal shops across the country. Don't forget to use Morgan's antibacterial medicated soap to protect your skin from germs and bacteria. The soap contains vitamin E, which gives you a long-lasting protection, and constantly, you are reminded to constantly bath with Morgan antibacterial medicated soap for a smooth and alluring skin. This is one of the oldest soaps in the world, and it's been tried and tested. You can find this soap in all supermarkets, provision shops, pharmacies, and distributors should contact Royal Dutch Pharmaceutical at Adabraka opposite Evangel Assemblies of God Church, or any of these distributors: Durant Pharmacy, Kumasi, and Sunyani, Interpharma Limited at Koforidia. And also for further enquiries and bulk purchases, don't hesitate to contact 0262 469-252 or 0561-886-514. Of course, as you've noticed by now, there's a new series on Net2 television, and it's called The Compound House. Apostle Film Production, in collaboration with Net2 TV, presents The Compound House. It's a local drama series that seeks to project the daily happenings in various compound houses. Which of you lives in a compound house? I do, and it's quite interesting. I guess it's been captured in this series, which features Kumawood stars like Kojo Nkansa, Lil Wayne, Bernard Nyakon, aka Bishop, Achire Brewer, Yao Dabo, Fred Amugi, Benedict Gafa, Kolege, Ejamenu, SK, Samuel Frimpong, and many, many more. Compound House airs on Net2 TV this and every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to watch the series, or to make a date with this explosive series on Net2 TV every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Compound House, everyone has a story to tell. Mr. Padmore, have you seen Compound House yet?
Well, I've been able to watch excerpt of it, but I've not watched a whole episode before. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we have been told to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend.
To also tell another friend.
Exactly. As I'm just about to tell you that there's a massive growth in agriculture, with sound policies yielding about 8.36% growth. And I'm not making this story up. This story can be found on the second page or page 2 of the Daily Statesman, which says massive growth in agriculture. Ghana recorded an impressive 8.36% growth in agriculture in 2017 as a result of the prudent policies put in place by the new Patriotic Party government. This is seen an increase in the production of maize from 1.9 metric tons per hectare in 2016 to 3 metric tons per hectare. An increase in the production of rice from 2.7 metric tons in 2016 to 4 metric tons. And the comparison goes on and on. This was disclosed by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo at the 2018 Africa Green Revolution Forum, a platform for global and African leaders to develop actionable plans that will move African agriculture forward, on Saturday in Kigali, Rwanda. Padmo, this one there, I can see the president was there yobbing. Charlie, come and see Ghana. Hey, that Greek that we had from negative percentage, now we are at 8.3. This one, the president is blowing his horns, Papa, isn't it? Is he right to blow his horns?
It's good when you compare where you were and where you are. The president was trying to compare where we were.
Okay.
You remember there was in recent past, there was a minister who was appointed as agriculture minister in the SYNDC administration. He took agriculture into a negative growth. And I'm referring to Fifi Kwete, when Fifi Kwete was sent to the agri ministry.
Right.
He took the growth of agriculture to a negative.
Would you blame the personality of the minister?
I am blaming the policies of the NDC towards agriculture and even the person they put in place who had nothing to show about agriculture, but yet was given the mandate to lead that ministry. And we all saw the results of what happened. Now the president is trying to look back and say, let me give you statistics from 2014, 2015, 2016. If you put all these 3 years together, our average growth was 2.5. I think about 4.7 in 2014, about 2.6 in 2015, and about 2.7 in 2016. Averaging is about 2.5. Now, he's saying in 2017, we have been able to now grow it to 8.3. This is not bragging. This is data speaking for itself.
But there's nothing wrong with bragging when it's true.
But
when
what he was doing was he was marketing Ghana. I'm trying to go the other way of your choice of word. He was marketing Ghana.
Right.
And he put it very nicely that if you look at our population growth of about 3%, and you are looking at agriculture even going around that figure, it means Ghana, we were in a state of poverty. We were going into poverty. Now, with planting for food, we have been able to push to 8.3. I mean, come on, which president will not be proud of such an achievement?
Right.
You are able now to feed your people. You are able to create jobs for your people. You are able to put money in the pocket of farmers. Farmers are excited because now the marketing part of the planting for food will make sure that their products are going into the market. They are going to get money. What again should the president be saying than to say, guys, we have nailed it right with the correct policies in Ghana? Right. So I believe if we continue our growth, our projection is supposed to go this way. I'm telling you, Ghana in the next 3-4 years will be the best place to go for food when you are in trouble.
Let's confirm what you're saying from the Deputy Minister of Agric, Major Odro, who is on the line, I've been told. Hello, good morning, Honorable.
Good morning.
How are you, my boss?
I'm fine. You?
Not bad at all. This morning, some of the papers are carrying some stories which I think will make you smile wherever you are. The Statesman, for instance, has this story. It says, massive growth in agriculture. Ghana recorded an impressive 8.3% growth in agriculture in 2017 as a result of the prudent policies put in place by the new patriotic government. Well, he mentioned some of the statistics, and this was disclosed by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo at the 2018 Africa Green Revolution Forum, a platform for African leaders, last Saturday in Kigali. Would you join the president in bragging about Ghana's agriculture output in the recent past? I mean, right now we are witnessing 8.36% growth. Some time back, it was minus percentage growth.
Well, let me. Is it my too?
Yes, Honorable.
Oh, I understand me and you, we have some agreement to CP on your program. It was of our program.
Okay, but
now you are changing it anyway. No problem.
I'm sitting in for the host, and my chi is limited. Okay. If you like, come Ghana. Me and you are floor. Let's go Ghana way.
That means you are not part of the agreement. I understand. No problem.
All right, Honorable, let's hear you.
All right. What is happening is that between 2014 and 2015, agri growth was 2.5%.
Right.
But luckily, because of the policy by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the planting for food and crop was able to increase the agri productivity from 2.5% to 8.36% annually last year. This is because of the results of the planting for food and crop.
Right.
You know, the government spent 460 million Ghana cedis last year crop season. At the end of the day, we were able to generate 1.2 billion cedis the market value of the resource of the planting for food and jobs. Clearly shows you that what the government spent, we're able to triple it, almost triple. Clearly, that is what translated into the growth that you are talking about.
Right.
So based on that, the president has realized if you are able to improve the agri sector, it will help the general growth of the economy, thereby make more money through export. That is why we are very seriously working on the planting for food and jobs to increase maize and soy production. That will translate into the poultry sector to stop the importation of poultry products into the country. So the planting for food and jobs was a success story for the government as of last year. That's why we are continuing this year by doubling the number of farmers we targeted last year.
Right. Honorable, I'm just going to ask you, what in practice turned the situation around? Because a year or two ago, or simply a few years ago, we were going into the negative. The planting for food and jobs came. For some people, it's just mere rhetoric. How did it practicalize? How did it transform the seemingly hopeless situation on the ground to a very hopeful 8.36%?
Okay, let me give you a typical example, only one example. Between 2006 up to 2017, every year, Ghana used to import maize into this country. The year 2015, we imported 115,000 metric tons of maize into this country.
Right.
2016, we imported 71,000 metric tons of maize into this country. And first quarter of 2017, we imported 40,000 metric tons. For the first time in the history of this country from 2006 up to today, up to first of 2017, from first quarter of 2017 up to today, we have never ever imported 1 grain of maize into this country.
Wow.
All to the praises of the planting for food and job.
Wow.
Because any maize that's imported into this country, there's the agri ministry that gives the permit.
So during that
This
period,
year on, sorry?
we totally substituted importation with our own.
With our local production, yes.
Fantastic.
Because of the planting for food and job, we did not import maize into this country for the first time since 2006 up to 2017 first quarter. So clearly tells you what the president is saying is because of what he has seen. There's been an improvement. So this is a turnaround that we are working towards. In fact, we have to reduce the importation of food items into this country, or either to eradicate it at all and rather export the surpluses. That is where we are heading towards. And by God's grace, we will achieve it because of the good policy the president brought into this country. That is the planting for food and jobs.
Right. So as we join you to celebrate this interesting story from Kigali, of course, there is another related story on page 3 of the graphic, which says Agri gets boost 500 million Ghana cedis as loan insurance to farmers. Honorable, just briefly, how are farmers going to benefit from this 500 million boost, or how is it going to affect the farmers?
Well, the situation is very simple. You know, in this country, the banks think the farmers or farming is risky. They give the high risk job. So giving the farmers money to improve or expand their farming was a very difficult situation between the farmers and the banks. So after this success story, the president has realized if you're able to cushion the farmers with some funding, it will help us increase our yield within the country. So now the farmers will have access to cash, expand their farm, and then to enable us to get surpluses. That's where we are heading towards. If you could remember, the banks were reluctant giving money to the farmers because, in fact, previously, because of the inputs the farmers were not receiving. For example, if you do 1 acre of maize, they used to get 4 bags. Now, under the planting for food and job, because of the improved seeds and the fertilizer the government is subsidizing for the farmers, now there are 4 bags for from an acre has improved to 10, 11, 12 to 15 bags per acre on the same acre of land.
Right.
So now, if a farmer takes a loan from a bank or a farmer is able to access this funding, his or her yield is going to go up. And if that happens, he or she will be able to pay the money that he or she will access from the bank. And besides, the interest on this facility is not as the commercial loans the banks are giving public. This is going to be a special funding for the farmers with a special interest rate. So any farmer who will access this money will be able to expand or increase its farming activities. Right. It is not only for farming, it's for agribusiness as well. Okay. Those people who are interested in the agribusiness, the processing of agri-products, and then those who buy the crops, especially the cereal, to store it at the warehouses, and then always distributing to the various markets, they too qualify for this facility. That is going to ensure a food security in the country.
Right.
So it's a good news. It's going to help us to increase our farming activities, thereby helping us to stop or reduce drastically the importation of food items into the country.
All right. Thank you very much. And I guess Equiaform Rainier will continue this discussion with you maybe later this week or the next. Anyway, the producer, my producer will continue. We'll have a little word with you after this conversation. Right. So as we come back into the studios, Padmore, you heard the minister was also ecstatic about what you called the president's selling of Ghana through agriculture in Kigali. It doesn't seem to end here. It looks like they want more.
We want more. I mean, and the president was clear on that. We imported food, about 2.2 billion Ghana cedis. And he compared that to our earnings from cocoa. It was the same amount of money we earned from cocoa. And the nation imported. So it's like Ghana got 2.2 million through cocoa. Ghana imported food. You get it, you import. So if you are able then to build your base and not use the money to go and import food, but you have food locally, what do you then do with the money? Development.
Of course.
So definitely.
And then you put less pressure on the city.
Exactly.
Right.
What it means is that strengthen your agricultural base, feed your people, make sure production goes on. You see, the value chain in agricultural production is so interesting. The Planting for Food have 5 models. You are talking about the seed supply. You are talking about the fertilizer. You are talking about marketing. You are talking about extension officers. And you are also talking about the e-agriculture kind of stuff. At every stage in these processes, jobs are being created. At every stage, money is going into the pocket of people. So any economy that gives priority, that focuses on improving its agriculture, develops very fast. And that is why some countries, they have been able to feed their people so much, they export the rest. And when you export, you earn money.
Right.
So if we are able to produce more, we are no more going to go to Burkina to buy maize and give them the dollars or the money and then get maize to come and eat. If we are rather able to produce more, we will now look at them and say, we have excess, are you interested to buy? So they will rather bring money into our economy.
Before I activate the phone lines for the public to contribute to the discussion, it might not be all that of a good news in the agricultural sector. It could be good news, but the nation is still experiencing, should I say, talents or educated minds moving into looking for white-collar jobs. People are not really going into the agri field. I mean, these are interesting news that we hope would attract people into agri. But how do we turn the situation around?
There has always been a fallacy about agriculture in that Ghana had assumed agriculture was for the rural farmer who is living in the rural area who have to produce.
Just pause your thoughts right there whilst I invite the public to join in the discussion. 0240-550-899 is the number to call. Of course, we are talking Kofi Anan and the 8.36% growth in agriculture. You can share your thoughts as well. But for now, Padmore Agyapong is telling me what he thinks. So 0240-550-899. is the platform to share your thoughts. Of course, we are also on the social media handles, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. The handle is Net2TVGH. So we are waiting for your call. I've been told I have my first caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Very good morning, my brother. Oh, Chief. Mini ya no. Mene Kofi Anan ka Greek. What no no ba yue.
No no me. O ba dan na dan pa advice. Ke MPP government me ko me to mo wo nyame se. Wo ke Ghana bia ke. Amen leni papa ina ba nyame ke Ghana bi. Ghana bi ba na ise. Ni ma ba ya hin. E ko be di agree. Wo Ghana bi no ni ke o ba fe agree ki. Nyame ke wo no ni wo no. You know, scope up all the sectors. By 4 years, in the industry need any money, any to be like a flood money every year. Okay, some do so, can be now make a Ghana cafe. Well, one hour, every year, a young way. What living film players, but record governance, Ghana be. Then I'm back again, not Ghana be. Lewu e yamwe noni kwa munadi opo education indicate and policy amekeze politics nele e na kwe noni make abufu wo follow ake mo fe mo ke aya eni na kusu ye bi e baya opo video opo video mo sa ko baya onu ara so bi le oni ko bi le baya first ni je ya take go you na ko ba do ke se ba wo ma ko tuku ko ba 20 million every year.
All right. All right. Anyami Chief, what find one double shinwa, find animal guaya, one pabo fire, Lebine. Thank you very much. That was Chief calling to share his thoughts. Padmore, you were telling us about the fallacy you thought was in Ghana's agriculture.
That farming was not for the educated, in quote. So it was the rural folks who were supposed to be doing farming and all. I did agriculture for my first degree.
Right.
I did agri science. We have a year group on a platform.
Okay.
We were over 200 in class. If you look at our WhatsApp platform and you want to count how many of us are into agriculture, you'll be shocked.
Right.
We have majority of us in the banking sector now.
Okay. We'll find out why most of you are in the banking sector after I pick up my next caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Onukwa.
Uncle, good morning. Hey, I chop a palos, ball, touch up with them.
Opana, I chop me to tell me track the United States of Ashama Midris.
US of Ashama, let's hear you, my brother.
United States of Ashama. Ashama being Yanya. And it's one papa in for her, ma.
Okay.
I know one like a see party A, party B, party C, the enemy do. Man one town ni eya mini eya here.
Right.
Alome mali.
Okay, no.
Wa former President Dramani Mahama. Eke akashi free education ni. Eke isani ama school se no piano. Come na ya. Come sankroso outside no back akashi kazunzumi. Come beni eya year school mi. What then you want to say? What president Nana Akufo-Addo eba free education. So what papa akashi na kasu close way. Man san ko school no bills. Also you be checking nkwada ni na you be check obia. Nti be say nkwada no bag na ye de be ko school hon money na. Ye spray bibia man nkofa sa so close na ye ho a ni ye ho ni na ayira ye no. The best say, my own fire, dear, to send on fire and buy it. The best send on baby, dear,
Thank you, my brother from the United States of Ashaiman. Medase. Right. Until we are expecting some more calls, maybe about 2 or 3 calls, and we wrap up with the public interaction. But I'm currently enjoying the views of Padmore Agyapong. Yes. Yeah. Oh, Padmore, just excuse me. Let me do quickly to take my calls. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Can I have your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Accra.
Right.
My name is Abdullah Isa.
Abdullah Isa, this morning
Yes.
we have
Good
Kofi
morning.
Anan. We have Kofi Anan and Agric on the menu. Which one would you want to taste?
Well, I'm only going to praise to Nana Addo what the good work he's doing.
Okay.
One, more thought out of the call on the Nana Addo why for education than from our local school. But from our local school, and then about 4 years, and the even Bible to go on to the other what's now. And so I saw when there, Prukena, oh, Nana, do not buy the moon. Oh, you the moon Prukena, if you hope. Nana, reshuffle no watch her, dodo. I rise in all horn. Oh, your nature. The town for all, or shall they have names, sir? The town for all. Uncle, for now, you was what I want you, man. Nana, do only home you hope.
Okay.
I said the letters in the hall. On your move, I got companies in the hall. Where go?
All right.
Nanado. All from the Congo. Now go for our one. All towards you on all from that. I'm a mark walk here,
right.
Orient.
Okay.
On yet a man.
Okay.
On
Thank you.
yet
Thank you.
On yet some papa. Go on chop.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, my brother from Accra. And all you had to say was to the president, he should do well to reshuffle. All right. Let me take my final call. Of course, the number is 0240550899. This is my final call for the morning. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello. My name is Carlos. What's yours? And can you please turn down the volume on your TV set? In the next 30 microseconds, can you turn down the volume on your TV set?
I've moved away from him.
All right, Mr. Obin, let's hear you quickly.
Hello?
Yes, let's hear you quickly.
Okay. My name is Nicholas. I want to talk on the issue of agriculture.
Yes, let's hear you on Agric.
My name is Nicholas.
All right, Nicholas.
Yes, I want to ask the gentleman there if he can give us exactly hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Oh, it looks like we've lost our brother. And that is the final call for this morning. And this is where we wrap up the interactive section with you. We wish our brother could call back. We'll be expecting him. But if not, tomorrow is another day. But before we wrap up the whole show, Padmore was on his flow when I truncated him.
Yeah, I was on the part where people seem to think that agriculture is not for the educated and all of those.
Right.
And I was sharing my experience and all those.
Yes.
But what I've come to realize is that those of us who studied agriculture does not mean necessarily we will be good farmers.
Right. Okay.
We went in, we are taught the knowledge of how to influence things, how to get things done. If you go into it yourself, the likelihood that you will succeed is high.
Right.
But again, we are not also gifted with the hands-on kind of stuff. So what happens is that because agriculture is so vast, you are trained in all the areas, which even includes financing of agricultural projects and all those. That is why a lot of the agri students get into other areas. People tend to believe, but how did you get this knowledge to go into this area? Why are you into banking? Why are you into this? Because you are taught how to finance an agricultural project. And the banking institution needs such skill to be able to help them in proposals that come to them in these areas.
Right.
So the agri student becomes a key or a hot cake for other institutions to get them to support their project works going on.
Right.
But I wish my brother's question could have come through, because I'm sure there was something he wanted to find out.
Yeah.
But like you said, we'll get the opportunity another time.
Right.
When he asks, then we'll clarify all those.
Fantastic. So this is where we bring down the curtain on today's episode of The Dialogue. Like I said earlier, to live is to choose. But to choose well, you must know who you are and what you stand for and where you want to go and why you want to go there. Of course, this quote is coming from no other than the celebrated Ghanaian diplomat who served as the 7th UN Secretary General. And as you know, he's no other person than the celebrated man we are all thinking about this week, Kofi Anan. Of course, his mortal remains arrives in Accra this evening around 5 to 6 o'clock. The president, who is the chief mourner, will be at the airport to welcome the mortal remains back to the country. And on that not too pleasant note, this is where I say thank you to the production team, thank you to you, our viewers, for staying glued to us, and thank you to my guest, Padmore Agyapong, for making today's show a reality. Until same time tomorrow, this has been The Dialogue with Palos.